So welcome everyone to this webinar as part of the EASE Summer Symposium. So it's my pleasure to host. So I'll introduce myself quickly. My name's Alex Ramos. I'm part of the JAMS team. I joined JAMS around a year and a half ago, and that was also when I started in the wonderful world of academic publishing. So for this webinar, we try to think of a theme, and we had a look at the theme for the symposium, which is influence and impact. And the idea for the webinar for us came really naturally. We work at JAMS with publishers of all sizes, but we have a focus really and a mission to support small and medium independent publishers. So it was quite easy for us to sort of get that angle. So as part of what we do, we get to talk a lot to people who are just getting started on their journey in publishing, just launching journal. And I've got to say, this is one of my favorite part of the job. So because we're accessible and quite affordable, we get to talk to people who are just getting started in their journey. And because we're quite hands-on, we hear the stories from the beginning, the sort of the inception behind the launch of a journal. Yeah, so we start our journey together with these small publishers. So when we have these conversations and we talk about the aspirations for launching a journal, um, when we talk about impact, we don't necessarily talk about things like impact factors immediately. What we're hearing is more of an aspiration to make a difference within the community, and that's where we try to go with this webinar to try and explore a little bit that aspect of things. And to help me with this webinar, we tried to invite guests with different level of experience. So we invited Dr. Damaris Odeny, who's just beginning her journey in publishing by launching the African Journal of Crop Improvement. And to sort of balance the conversation, we've got Duncan Nicholas, who's very experienced in the world of academic publishing, and that will give us insights and his perspective as well. So before we get started, I've got these little bios written for Damaris and Duncan, but maybe that might be more interesting if you two introduce yourselves. So maybe we can start with you,
Damaris, would you
Duncan.
like to go first?
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you. Thank you so much, Alex, and the team from JAMS. Thank you also the other panelists. It's such a privilege to be here. Thank you to those who are joining. My name is Damaris Odeny. My profession is in plant genomics and genetics. I work, my daily job is at the International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, in short, ICRISAT. But I'm also the president of the African Plant Breeders Association, which is an academic, it's an association of academic and other crop improvement professionals around Africa and beyond who are committed to crop improvement. Now, I think as Alex already mentioned, we, as part of the African Plant Breeders Association, we call it in short APBA, we did launch a journal just a few months ago called African Journal of Crop Improvement. The reason behind this, I'll be able to say during the discussion, but we've been privileged to be hosted by JAMS. It's relatively new. We are yet to publish the first article, but it's been a good experience so far, and I'm really glad to be part of the panel.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm Duncan Nicholas. EASE regulars may recognise me from my past presidency as EASE, and I've been a member of EASE for maybe 15 years now. And I've been involved in journal publishing for over 20 years now with TNF. I was overseeing peer review management, developing peer review systems, being the managing editor of several psychology journals. Then I started the journal development department to do some of the work that we'll be talking about today in enhancing the kind of impact and presence of journals. And then I moved into independent consultancy, where I was working with all kinds of different societies, universities, organizations, and publishers around the world, doing sort of working on different projects. But again, the focus of this session comes up a lot, engaging with communities, how to raise the profile of a journal, how to increase the impact in various ways, and discussing with journal communities what impact means to them. I've done a lot of kind of workshops as well, working with small groups, big lecture halls of people, on various different types of topics. So hopefully, yeah, between us all, we'll have some very interesting, insightful, and perhaps animated discussion for you today.
Lovely. Thank you very much, you both. So I think to start the discussion, so we talked in introduction of community impact. So when we have this conversation, when launching a journal, we hear sort of this goal of trying to create a difference on the community. And it'll be interesting to maybe define what that community impact means. So the first question would be to Damaris, and when you so first of all, I think you told us a little bit, but maybe tell us a little bit more behind, the idea of launching this journal, what you were trying to achieve, and really to define sort of the community aspect. When you were picturing making a difference within a community, who did you see in that picture as a community? Who did you envisage?
Yeah, a really good question. And this really goes back to the foundation of the journal. I think as a community, we are a really fast-growing community of plant breeders, professionals involved in genetics and crop improvement in Africa. It was increasingly apparent that most of our members were struggling to find a platform where they could affordably, but also inclusively publish the results of their work. And part of it is also because the publishing, the journal publishing landscape has become very open source. And so most people are having to pay significantly much to publish. And for most of our members, this was a struggle. And so in that process, there was likely to be some level of exploitation sometimes, especially when there's desperation. If you have PhD students who want to publish and they're not able to publish in the right outlets, sometimes they have to compromise to have someone take care of the cost. And so we thought, since we have this community going on, we can best tell our stories in a platform that is affordable, accessible. But I think one of the main things that the African Plant Breeders Association is trying to improve is to reduce the gap between research results and the farming community, who are our beneficiaries. And most of the time, the way that the results are presented, we don't get to filter it as much in the way that the farming communities within Africa are able to synthesize it. And so one of the things that we were really looking to do is, okay, so if we have specific series, we know the theme, and then eventually filter it in a way that the farming communities, or those who are working directly with our smallholder farmers or even largeholder farmers, are able to tell the story in the way that the results are immediately picked up. And so, in summary, it was mostly accessibility and affordability, but also the relevance to the kinds of crops we work with, the landscape of crop improvement in Africa, and looking to really exploit that space so that it's something that is really specific to our community, but also the farmers that we work with.
And how, so if you imagine the journal, so it's just getting started, and I know you're receiving your first submissions, and that might be a little bit early to think about this, but if you think of maybe in 3 to 5 years, what would you assess as being a success in terms of impact on the community? What do you want to achieve in terms like of concrete results?
So the first impact, which I believe almost every journal set out there is looking, is to have the journal indexed within a short time. We are very ambitious, and we're hoping that within 2 years we can have the journal indexed. We are also looking to ensure that whatever every manuscript published is synthesized in words that regular or lay people or farmers are able to understand. So beyond just publishing, we are also enhancing the way that we are going to communicate these results, but we are also looking to have very high quality. I mean, so most of the time, I think the perception has been that, if it's gonna be high impact, it has to be really technical, and it doesn't have to be. We're really hoping that we can have these results still high quality, but presented in very simple language that is understandable, and hoping that that drives the access or the impact factor or the just general index of the journal, and put it more or less in a competitive space where people are seeking out for manuscripts. Also, others are seeking to publish in that platform. And one of the things that we're really looking to do is to be able to maintain that quality right from the first version, the first issue. I mean, it might seem like it's taking us a little bit longer, but we are working hard in the background to ensure that irrespective of what it is that we publish, it is something that is of interest, not just to the African breeding community, but also to others, but also that it is in a form that is easy to synthesize, easy to translate, so that downstream we have application for it as well.
Lovely. And one thing I can really agree with you is that you're not going to launch a journal within 2 weeks and start publishing. If you want to do things right, you really need to take your time. And if you don't do things right from the very beginning, you do get impacted later down the line. Yeah. So maybe I'll turn it to Duncan to maybe tell us in his long career in academic publishing, if he can maybe give us examples of really success stories where you've seen maybe research really landing with the community that it was meant to impact, and maybe what was done really well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yes, from my earlier years in publishing, what we at TNF in the working with a psychology imprint, we launched a new journal, Social Neuroscience, which was like such a new field at the time that that journal was actually accepted into the Web of Science when it launched, which is quite rare, but that's one of the kind of examples of when that can happen, when they feel that the topic is sort of new, prescient, and enough, and kind of valid enough that it will be worth indexing it straight away. But I guess we're talking beyond like impact factors and indexing. And sort of fast forwarding to now, the journal I am working with, which I missed out on my own introduction, where I'm actually working now. The journal I'm with at the moment is Reproductive BioMedicine Online. It's a fertility reproductive medicine journal, and the IVF field is kind of rapidly developing. There's lots of innovations, lots of advances in the technology, particularly with automations. And we published a paper last year on remote controlled automated EASE, which is the process of injecting the sperm into the egg to create an embryo and then a pregnancy. And some of the advances in automation help the embryologists identify which is the most optimal sperm based on all the research that has been conducted into, the motility, how sperm moves, what it looks like, so they can use that kind of database of research in the software to identify which is the most optimal sperm, and the same with the eggs as well. Like the shape, the thickness, the cell structure of the eggs, they can identify which is the most optimal one. So choose the right egg, choose the right sperm, and then use machine guided to get the needle, pick it up. So everything is kind of aided by technology. All of these advances all kind of coming together. And last year we published a paper on two clinics, one in New York and one in Guadalajara. And the tech team was in New York, and the patient and all the kind of hardware equipment was in Mexico. So the team in New York selected the sperm online using like a joystick software. So they treated the patient who was in Mexico from their clinic in New York, and that resulted in a pregnancy and a live birth of the baby. So a complete success, and quite, ridiculously futuristic. That that was sort of inconceivable a few years ago. No pun intended, obviously, a few years ago, and now that kind of technology is available. So in the community, the field was caused a lot of excitement about the potentials and the demonstration application of all of the kind of research that has been building up to that point.
Well,
And
in terms that's amazing. And I mean, in terms of impact, when you know how traumatic the experience can be for patients, having
yeah,
sometimes to go to 3, 4 rounds before it's successful to be able to maximize and limit that sort of trauma is it's amazing.
yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, there's loads of kind of advances in the IVF field that the journal I'm working on is publishing, but obviously all the other journals are also publishing kind of, reducing the amount of time and sort of cycles things are taking for these procedures. And it's quite an exciting field to be working in. You can really see those kind of actual impacts for patients, as well as the research community getting excited about developments as well.
I bet, yeah, that's incredible. Um, Right. So then in my notes, I had like the sort of a part two and a follow-up is so now we talked about sort of the aspirations when you get started and maybe like what to do to put things into practice. So I'll turn it back to Damaris here because your journal has just launched. It's very new. What are the things that you're doing maybe from day one or maybe from in preparation of the launch of the journal to make sure that the research that you are going to publish will reach. So you were talking about the farming community, for example. What are you doing? Practical steps to try and achieve this.
Yeah, I think we are still very much in the learning process, and we're looking to also receive a lot of feedback from our members, but also from our support groups. We have a lot of support groups from outside of Africa as well. But we do have experiences from sister organizations who have launched similar journals. And, like last year, we were just in the run-up to launching the journal. We had really good discussions with Kabi, which is also in the publishing space and supporting a lot of African institutions that are in the publishing space. They are willing to do capacity building as well. I think one of the things that we've done that, at least since we joined the JAMS platform, is also connect a lot with the JAMS staff, and they have been extremely supportive. We get a lot of support from the National Association of Plant Breeders, which is based in the US. It is also an association that is very similar to our association. They have a lot of journals that they are managing as well, but they've been supportive from the word go. Even before we launched the journal, they've been on our side. They are always ready to offer advice. They provide us opportunity. We are likely to have an opportunity during the next National Association of Plant Breeders in the US to promote the journal as well. So the African Plant Breeders Association also organizes a conference every 2 years. Last year, which is when we launched the journal, the conference was in Zimbabwe. And usually these conferences are attended by quite a diverse group. Last year, we had more than 400 participants. We don't do online, we only do physical version of it, so a in-person attendance. And the next one is going to be in Nigeria next year. And we look to promote the journal in these platforms. But at the same time, we're looking to connect with other, maybe seed producers, other different application side of plant breeding, to be able to have relevance in the results that we publish, so that it's not just taken by the plant genetics and plant breeding community, but that it's translated to end users. So we have a lot of discussion with seed companies as well. We have an ongoing collaboration with AFSTA, for example, which is African Seed Trade Association. So and we've only just started. We were looking to grow it as much as possible. But one of the other things that we, just from learning also from discussions that I've had with Duncan, I think one of the things that we're looking to do is, for every maybe some viral context that is going on, that there's some specific topic, we would like to be building issues around such specific topics, and then take one or two for each series or each issue, convert them into webinars where most people are able to log in and, ask specific questions. Also working together with people who are on a daily basis, working with farmers to get feedback. Okay, so we got this result. How can it be translated in a way that farmers can use it? And yes, we are just starting. We have to put things in place that ensure that some of these things that we are talking about is actually implementable. And we hope that, in the end, we work towards really making sure that the results that we publish are as relevant as possible to the breeding community, but also, within the African context as well, that it's addressing the problems or the challenges that are facing the continent as a priority. Thank you.
Yeah, and I saw on your website, one of your mission, and it's I'm taking this out of context of a long sentence, but one of the goals of the journal is to achieve food security in Africa. If that doesn't get you up in the morning to go to work, I don't think anything will.
Absolutely.
So I'll turn that back to Duncan to maybe, and there was a really interesting angle there too, because like farmers, for example, not the audience of an academic journal. So I'd like to know, in your experience, Duncan, like how do you get the research, like from a published article to the community that actually needs to implement and if in your experience you've seen this achieved by various journals, and what needs to be done, what are the levers that a journal can pull to achieve these goals.
Yeah, right. Well, Damaris already mentioned how you do your meetings in person, and turning up in person is probably the most effective way of demonstrating sort of your commitment to people and being able to listen in the most sort of nuanced and best way and getting people's attention, and just turning up is very important. As we know, I mean, with EASE, we make sure we do our in-person events, and we do these online events for accessibility. But the thing that really builds the community and really gets people to engage with it are the in-person events. They're the ones that, people get the most, they feel the most invested with when they turn up in person. And, I think we know that that's true in general. That's why there's such a focus on in-person events and trying to maintain them in some way. So yeah, a physical presence at things is extremely important. And related to that, interacting with people. Again, Damaris preempted this by saying, pay attention to what people are talking about, what they actually want, and respond to that. But in terms of like a journal building its community presence, acknowledging its contributors, authors, reviewers. Lots of journals do like reviewer thanks lists, and some people might perceive those as quite trivial, just a list of names once a year, but a lot of reviewers actually really appreciate that in the first instance. But then you can send people individual certificates, which are increasingly valued. Again, the more we try to make like the peer review process an actual really integral part of maybe researcher assessment, as well as just publishing in impact factor journals and other aspects of assessment, peer review is extremely important. So those certificates for reviewing are increasingly popular, increasingly valued by people, and definitely with authorship certificates, and doing nice little things like, I know people like maybe a journal cover with the name of the title of the article on it. People really like those, and it's something, I mean, you can't really make it yourself, partly because publishers often put such low res pictures of their journal covers online. You can't make them yourself. But yeah, the little touches like that that acknowledge people's contributions on a like an individual basis are really good for connecting with people. And career building or skill development things, again, like peer review or authorship skills. We did a webinar we've done a couple of webinars actually with RBMO. We do a quarterly webinar series of showcasing some authors' new work, of sometimes with newer authors, to give them that platform that your work is that good, and then we also have more senior, more recognizable names from the field as well. And also we've done a few like journal submission tips, peer review tips, behind the scenes of the journal, things that people can really connect to. And it's that sort of feedback loop and things people can actually learn from and that demonstrate like appreciation. Those are all just a few of the sort of things that really we found land quite well with people.
To make sure that the published article is not sort of the end journey, that it's just one step and like carry
Yeah,
on
yeah,
building.
that's right. Again, a nice little sort of plug for some of our EASE things. We did a really great webinar on layering of the different types of messages that you can get out of one one journal article. And also the journal article is just a small part of the cycle of research and the job the researchers are doing. And quite often the actual published article, that research happened, could be a couple of years ago by the time it's actually published online, unless you post it as a preprint. Shout out for preprints, for speeding up the whole process. But sometimes the actual research that's published could happen a while ago, so people's whole work is sort of continuing, and that's why more live events are quite useful, because you can get ahead of the actual articles, put them into the wider context of the work you're doing as well.
Absolutely. That was a great play on EASE, and I think I'll build up on that, because I was saying in introduction that I speak to a lot of publishers, and I think I've seen a couple of comments as well that are just beginning their journeys, and there's always two links when people ask me, where do I start? I want to launch this journal. One of them is the Open Access Journal Toolkit from OASPA and DOAJ, and the second one is the link to the resource page of EASE. It's full of great stuff and very useful information there. So I encourage anyone to have a look at it. So maybe we'll move on to what are as the sort of last part of the webinar. So we sort of framed this a little bit at the beginning, like impact factors, traditional measurements against like real community impact. But that's not to say that these impact factors and indexing database are not important. I think they're a great measure of not only success, but quality as well. So they should really be taken seriously. So we'll stay with you, Duncan, for this one. How do you think so they're not mutually exclusive. And how do you think one can support the other? So community impact against sort of more traditional impact factors and databases.
Yeah, right. Well, I do agree that that impact factor is a crude but a useful metric for something, and it does show you how the community is responding to the journal. That's what a citation is. Someone has read the article and found it useful enough to inform their work. Hopefully, they're not just littering their article with a load of citations they haven't read. But it is informing like the work of other people. So that is one measure of community. But the way people are responding to articles, trying to engage different conversations around the work, that's sort of what we at the journal, that's what we do webinars for. We also have a monthly newsletter with some little articles, which we call the talking points section of our Insights newsletter, and they are to put the articles from the journal into a broader perspective of what else is happening in an editorial way that's more easily accessible than a journal article, and a bit more direct than a journal article, and easier to put it into the wider context of what else is happening around the world or has led to this point of the research. So a good way of contextualizing things. That's one kind of way of demonstrating where the journal is in the community. And of course, social media is another just great way of reaching communities, getting articles discussed, building a profile presence of the journal. Again, a little plug for EASE and the conference. We've got the poster exhibition, which will be going up. I don't know, Mary can tell us in the chat when the poster exhibition is going live. And I've got an abstract and poster there which reports on the statistics of our RBMO journal's performance on LinkedIn. compared to two major societies on LinkedIn, which I used as like benchmarks for, is there an audience? Is there are people active in this field on this platform? Yes, this major societies had over 30,000 like followers on LinkedIn. So good. There's an audience there for me to like reach here online. They're active. Um, and yeah, our journal has grown on LinkedIn now with nearly 12,000 followers. Our newsletter has over 10,000 subscribers. And maybe I won't reveal any more. I'll let you wait to go and have a look at the poster and the abstract to see all the actual numbers instead of me telling you lots of numbers. But it's worked very well. We have the societies as a benchmark to understand how good that performance is. And yeah, we're also using different forms. And now we're working on a lot of video for Instagram to really kind of get sort of better presence on the more visual platforms as well. So yeah, that's a couple of examples.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. And I think it's probably a great inspiration for Damaris as always, just getting started. There's loads of good ideas there on how to grow the journal sort of presence online. So just to stay with the metrics, I was wondering if Damaris, that's something, and you mentioned it very briefly at the beginning of the webinar. Is that something that you really have in mind to achieve these indexing in databases? And are there any practical steps that you're already taking to try and get there? Because you said you want to get there quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with Duncan that, impact factor, um, like it or hate it, it is an indication that your journal is doing well. Because if you're busy publishing and people are not reading, then you really need to rethink what you're doing. And one of the things, I think the way that we launched the journal and also in the way that we are handling the invites or the kinds of articles that we would like to publish is already a really positive sign. And I'm not saying that we are going to be successful, but it's very humbling to see because I mean, a lot of people will, first of all, look at the impact factor before they submit, right? And we've received, out of the number of manuscripts that we've received, we have a significant number that is really high quality. And I'm also going to say, I'm saying that based on my experience as well, I am also part of editorial team of various other journals that are really established a good impact factor. And the kinds of submissions that I see, I mean, of course, there are also others that we've had to reject. But we still have quite a good number that is really good quality. And I think one of the things that we made very clear right from the beginning, even when we were just having webinars with the community, we put quality as the very central component. And we said, we are starting this at this level, but quality is one of the things that we are going to look into as the bare minimum from the first manuscript, even if it's a welcome article that we are putting on that slide, we want it to be absolutely of the best quality. And it's also a learning process. We want that we improve with every issue. The first issue, we still want it to be of good quality, but hoping that we learn from that to go to the next, as we move to the next issue. So for example, now I'll just let you know that we've already contacted potential authors for the next issue. And we were pretty ambitious with that. And we went for like really established scientists who regularly are invited for keynote slots in really very respectful platforms. And I can tell you, we're just blown away because 90% of them are available to submit. That's already giving us a really good indication that we are on the right track. And bear in mind, we also know that most of the good authors are likely to be extremely busy. And so we give them also flexibility. And that still allows them to, okay, if they're not able to make it for the next issue, we still have a committed number that we'll be publishing a little bit later. So it's already looking pretty good. I'm actually quite excited about it. I'm also excited that the EASE platform have been able to give us membership. That's significant. I mean, we are coming from nowhere and we're already having access to platforms such as EASE. We've been registered under Crossref. That also allows us to utilize the Crossref platform to look at things like plagiarism. That's significant. And so we are just day by day building and ensuring, whatever happens, we want people to identify our journal with quality. But also, as I said earlier, we are very understanding of the landscape where we are coming from. Africa has had quite a number of challenges in terms of technology development and all that. But as I was mentioning, it doesn't have to be a $2 billion project to be publishable. You may have done the simplest thing that has the highest impact. I mean, sometimes I walk around villages in Africa and I'm seeing super, super, super good talent in its raw form. And I think one of the things that we're looking is how can we bring these raw talent into a platform where it is nicely presented with very good quality. If there's a little bit of mentorship required, yes, let's go ahead and do that. But even in that raw form, people are interested in stories that change the world. And yes, if this is going to be the platform, it doesn't have to be $1 billion investment. It just needs to be presented in its best quality, best form, digestible form, and communicated well. So thank you. Thank you for the platform as well. I mean, I think I have to thank you because just the fact that JAMS has a platform that we can discuss, we can get experience from others, experience from Duncan, for example, is significant for us. So we are looking forward to grow in this community as well.
Thank you. And yeah, I think it's quite amazing because that was going to be sort of a question I was going to ask you as well. Like the quality, you're already happy without having published a single article. You're already very happy with the quality of the submissions that you're getting. And this was actually a question from my colleague Orion, which I thought was an excellent question. Um, respected authors, they want to publish in highly visible journals, and so if you were in front of one of these authors and you wanted to convince them to publish in your journal just getting started without any visibility yet or impact factors, what would you tell them to try and convince them? I think
Thank you. That's a really good question. I'll tell them what I've been saying to the authors, these high quality authors who've already committed. But I think the it's in the way that we communicate, right? I mean, I think for most high impact journals, you already have the audience. So sending an email is fine. So you will send an email and it's fine. But I think what we've done as part of the editorial community of African Journal of Crop Improvement is that we've pursued our authors, the target authors, through discussing at various platforms, having one-on-one discussions with them, and there are people who are coming back like, how can you convince me that if I publish here, and what we consistently say is that look at our objectives, look at like we're addressing a unique area, and our focus is on providing a platform that enables our scientists to be independent, but also growing them. And I don't think there's anyone who would question that. I mean, normally if you're not authentic, you're not genuine, you're just doing it for something else.
Yeah.
It's very clear. And we've made it clear from the beginning, we're not doing this for money. And yes, if money comes with it at the end of the day, well and good. But our main first objective is let's have our scientists having a voice in a platform that they identify with, but also are not intimidated that, oh, can I even publish there? This is something that they identify with. And so when most of our authors, target authors, hear this kind of story, they identify with it. And, we are patient with them and we'll tell them, at your right time, when you're able to, we would really like to have you identify with this noble mission that we are working on. And I didn't mention from the beginning, although you mentioned it, Alex, we are looking to have, some of the crops that have been referred to as orphan in the past have a stage. Climate resilience is something that is really, really important to us in Africa. How can we address it in a language that we understand best? Food security is an issue. Poverty among smallholder farmers. How can we address it in a way that we can actually show impact of the journal to these important factors that are affecting our community? Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. No, thank you. Maybe we're getting slowly towards the end of the hour. So I might invite the attendees, the audience, to maybe start asking a few questions in the chat. You may already have asked them, but I don't want to have to scroll all the way back up. So if you have any question, post them in the chat right now. And maybe we can end with Duncan. If you've got any final piece of advice for Damaris, but also anyone who's getting started on the journey. I know you've provided a lot already, but if there's any final thoughts for young publishers.
I think
Yeah.
Damaris just said it best. Authenticity is really the most important thing, and yeah, to kind of reflect, echo some of the things we've said already about being present, engaging, demonstrating the mission. And it's not about the predatory publishing kind of thing. You can very clearly differentiate yourself from that by being very genuine, having a very genuine mission, engaging with people, turning up in person, meeting them. And again, Damaris said it well. It's about the way you communicate with people. No, like spamming people with loads of like boilerplate messages that read the same to everyone. Actually, demonstrating that you know who the person is that you contact and telling them how they'll benefit from your relationship with the journal. It's not quick and easy, or it takes a lot of effort. Can seem like quite slow progress at some time, but it's a metaphor for Damaris's background. It's all about planting seeds and watching them grow. There's a very cheesy way to end our presentations. But yeah, there you go. That's what it is. It's like nurturing things rather than just expecting them to appear out of nowhere.
That's really good. I like it. I like cheesy. And I think it's a great message as well. Right, so having a look at the Q&A. Let's see what we've got. So I've got one question here. How do you balance highlighting well-known senior researchers while still encouraging and supporting emerging authors? I suppose it's how you maybe position your journal as a journal that wants to publish maybe a highly respected authors, but also invite, how do you strike that balance? I suppose the question is.
Can I go?
Yes, please.
No, that's a really good question. And the way that we are doing it, well, the way that we are planning to do it is to go by topics that are sensitive or that are of interest to our community. So let's say, for example, if we make a topic on, let's just say, orphan crops. I'm just giving an example. That platform allows for a very broad range of of authors. And we don't want any particular series to be only about very established authors. We'd also want to have the young upcoming authors, not just as first author being having another corresponding author with them, but also if they can pull together a topic, group of young scientists, young upcoming scientists, compelling facts. We would like to give them that opportunity as well. And we are working with, so the African Plant Breeders Association has a student wing that has mostly PhD and master students in that wing. We would like to every series have a slot for the student wing to have, mostly a student-led collection of a topic that's there with them. It would be nice if they always continue to publish also with their supervisors, there's nothing wrong with that, but also give them the independence to present their perspective, even if it's just in a few slots, but that helps them to grow into the established authors that they would want to be. So that's something that we are working on as well.
Fantastic. Right, so let me have a look at more questions. I've got a few questions directly about JAMS from Mohammed Elef Nawi. I will get in touch, Mohammed. Maybe this is not the best place to answer them. But I've got another one here, which I think is an excellent question. How do you build an editorial board that genuinely reflects the communities your journal serves, rather than just the established academic networks? So how did you, and that's a question maybe either of you can answer. How did you think, what was the thinking behind choosing the team for the journal to make sure that it's just not a journal for academics, but a journal with a broader community mission?
Do you want me to? I can jump in.
Of
I
course.
suppose concepts like community ambassadors, social media editors who can bridge the well in the journal that I'm working on at the moment, there's a lot of clinicians and embryologists that's a profession. It's not necessarily a research background. So they're very practical focused, but they are also very much a part of that journal community because they make use of the research from the journal, even if they don't all actually publish research back into academia. And that's certainly true of lots of fields. But having representatives from those those professions and those roles on the journal board, invite them to your journal meetings, editorial board meetings. At RBMO, we call it a town hall meeting once a year. We invite our entire extended editorial board, give them some sort of behind the scenes insights of the plans of the journal that we're going to do. It just involve people, but it involves representatives from all different aspects of the community. And what you can make that relevant to whatever your speciality is, whatever your field is. Just take sort of representatives from each portion that you want to hear from, that you want to inform the journal from the sort of publisher side, bibliometric side. One thing that I do when I'm setting up new journals with people is to do sort of subject area analysis, look for where there are gaps in like undercovered, look for which sort of keywords and topics are growing, and then get people to, and that can be like a focus of the journal. So that kind of thing can help as well to identify which aspects, which areas to cover as well, to make sure they're represented.
I like especially the first point that you made. Like, I think it ties in with what you were saying earlier about choosing topics to publish that are relevant to the community now, and by having
Yeah,
maybe practitioners on your editorial board that have
yeah,
the finger on the pulse rather than just being, in a lab doing research. I think that probably helps to guide the editorial content as well of the
yeah.
journal. I don't know, Damaris, if you wanted to add to this as well.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'll add is that we are also learning on just through experience. So the way that we assembled, we started with a very lean set of editorial board. And I think already we can see that, some are extremely busy, and we are probably going to ease their time a bit and maybe introduce a few others. We did put together that board based on the expertise. So we have five main topics that we are going to be addressing, which the topics have been selected based on the challenges of the continent as well. And so, yeah, we are going to be building it with time. By mainly retaining those who are performing well, and also building based on experience that we've learned now. I think one of the biggest challenges is to get a good set of editorial board members who have time all the time, because I mean you're looking for accomplished scientists. They are busy, but you can tell, even though when someone is really busy, that they care about the quality. So depending on how they present the results, or even, I mean, it's okay for someone to ask for additional time, but when they finally get to doing it, you can see in how things are articulated that this is somebody committed that you want to retain as much as possible. But as Duncan already said earlier as well, acknowledge these are people who end up being like part of your family, have regular discussions with them, seek feedback from them. How do they need to be supported, so that it is a community of committed professionals who are looking to elevate the quality of the journal you're working with.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we're reaching the top of the hour, so maybe I don't see any other questions here. So I don't know if we wanted to have a last word for the EASE Symposium. Maybe Duncan. I don't know if it's too late to register, or
No, never
I'm
too
really
late.
excited about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, you've caught me out there. I don't even know the date. I better remind myself of the date
Do
of
you
my
want me
own
to, do you want me
session.
to help you, Duncan?
Yeah, Mary, jump in, save me.
sorry, I put you on the spot there.
Okay, so I've put in the chat, and I will add to the email that I send you with the link to today's recording all the details that we've had in the chat today, and particularly about the symposium, as we're really excited for that to be happening. It's the 2nd to the 4th of June, so it's coming up really soon.
I did know that.
There are also, this is the first of the satellite events today with JAMS, our platinum sponsor, but we also have a whole day of regional chapter activities coming up on the 26th. We have a manuscript editors session on the 1st, and then there's a couple of other chapter ones that are happening after the event. So there's lots of stuff in and around the symposium. It's all on the website, so go there and find your way. As I say, there's registration free places, thanks to JAMS, for those in LMICs and upper middle income countries and students. So if you fit into any of those categories, then you go to the website, choose that category, and you can register for free, which is fantastic. And yeah, the full program is there on the website, so you can see how the session stacks through the day. There's like some early, some late, to help people in different time zones. The poster competition, as I say, goes live tomorrow. So that's very exciting. And the winners are going to be announced on the first day of the conference. So they'll be announced first thing in the morning, and you'll be able to hear a little 5-minute presentation from each of the 3 winners of the 3 categories. So that'll be great to see that as well. So yeah, I've been really pleased with the quality of the posters. An exciting batch this year. So lots to look forward to. So yeah, that's where we're at. As I say, I will send, this has been recorded, so I will send you the link tomorrow. Please share that with your colleagues. If you have colleagues that didn't get to come today, or you think, oh, that was actually really great, they would be interested in it. It's free. It's up on our YouTube. Please feel free to share it. So thank you very much. Thank you to Alex and to Damaris and Duncan.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you,
everyone.
Mary. And
yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you to EASE again for allowing us to do this. That was brilliant. Really enjoyed it.